Meeting is now streaming.
Okay, we're good.
All right, very good. All right, I call the May 12th Board of Supervisors meeting for Orange County to order. If everyone will attempt to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. That's the best we've done so far.
We just got
We need to pre-record that and
Exactly. Right?
yeah.
All right. Unless there's any changes to the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. At this point, because we are virtual, we will start with Mr. Johnson. And if the board members would announce where they are coming to us from.
I'm coming from 13451 Albano Road, Barbersville, Virginia.
Mr. White.
Coming from my home on Berry Run Road in Orange, Virginia.
Mr. Goodwin.
I'm at my home at 11464 Rapidan Road in Orange.
Mr. Frame.
I'm at my home at 103 Woodland Trail in Locust Grove, Virginia.
All right. I am at my second home at 33 Pierpoint, New Bern, North Carolina. All right. At this point, Mr. Voorhees, we don't have any special presentations or appearances, do we?
We do not.
Okay, very good. Next, I would
Approve the consent agenda.
do what, Lee or Teal?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Ah, okay. A
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved unanimously. All right, new business. The working draft of the 21 to 25 CIP plan. Mrs. Schraub. Need to, there you go.
Good evening. Attached to your agenda packet, you'll find the FY21 to 25 capital improvement plan. Just slightly different formatting from previous years. It focuses on the first 5 years, and then it has a new section in the back for, the project detail reports. This plan was put together, as we've done in the past, with department heads, constitutional officers, personnel, and the finance committee. It also includes a few new projects that I just wanted to point out. It has a new funding source, the Fire and EMS Levy Fund, and several projects are associated with that fund in this report. It also has, It also reflects the $100,000 contribution to Germanna Community College, the second of the 5-year requests. And it is the second installment. And there are a few new projects I'm going to briefly mention that are in the report. One is the fiber network planning and management solution software that is a component of our Esri software managed by our GIS coordinator. There's also a GPS receiver for the GIS coordinator. There's some costs associated with the data center relocation from the Gordon building to the new PSAP that's physically moving the servers and the racks. Gordon Barber Elementary School renovation project, which is proposed to be debt funded. Bluebell building renovation project, which is also proposed to be debt funded. Landfill cell expansion 2, which is also proposed to be debt funded. And there's a debt funding piece for fiber network expansion.
All right, very good. Any questions, comments?
Oh, look good.
I'll have some questions, but I need to talk to Kurt later. I'll do that offline.
All right, very good. Anyone else? All right.
And year one does reflect what was approved in the budget for 21.
Okay, very good. All right, if there's no other questions or comments, we will, thank you very much, Stephanie. We will move on to 5B, which is the award of the contract for remount and refurbishment of an ambulance. Ms. Amos.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. In front of you, we have a memo to award a contract for the remount and refurbishment of a Horton model ambulance. Currently, our fire and EMS department has a Horton ambulance, which requires mounting onto a 2020 Dodge 4x4 cab and chassis. Lockheed Enterprises is the only provider that can perform this type of service to Horton model ambulances. So we produced a sole source and posted it. The FY20 Capital Improvement Fund has approved financing for this project, which will cost $224,819. Staff requests the contract with Lockheed Enterprises be awarded contingent upon staff's ability to secure bank financing with the scope of the adopted budget. Staff will present the bank financing for approval to the board once available.
Very good. So Dodge is who we're going with now on the re-chassis.
Yes.
Okay.
That's almost the price of a new, total new ambulance, isn't it?
Close.
New medic units are around 400,000.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I was looking at the capital improvement, and it says basically $270 a year for those.
That's for the re-chassis center.
That's rechassis all of them? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Now, how many of these Horton units do we have, since we only have one vendor we can get?
We should have all, don't we have 5 Hortons? 5 or 6?
5 or 6 Hortons. So the Horton is the vendor for the box on the back. I'm sorry, I'm not going to use the technical terms.
Yeah,
right.
But that's the box. These 2 that we're going to re-chassis first were those ones that we had with internationals, which we had to replace engines twice, 2 or 3 times. I've had to replace the engines. So we're going to re-chassis the boxes onto Dodge from here on out. The last 2 new ones that we purchased were Dodge.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, right now Horton is one of the few boxes that can be re-chassis, that's certified to be re-chassis, because we went through quite a bit of meetings and work in order to make sure that they were, but I don't believe any of the other manufacturers are currently certified to re-chassis.
And the certification basically is for safety, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And it does change. If you recall, this time last year, I was working with the federal government on change standard number 10, because the rest of the United States saw fit to re-chassis that. And for some reason, the Commonwealth did not. So we worked to make sure that Horton, like Mr. Crozier mentioned, was one of the companies that guarantees that they'll be able to do that. And since the Commonwealth has now accepted change standard number 10, we were able to proceed with our re-chassis.
Good.
Okay.
Very good. All right, any questions or other comments? All right. Need a motion for that then, don't you?
So move.
Okay. First and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Straub. And then 5C is the county attorney, Mr. Latchney, for proposed ordinance for courthouse security fee.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is being put in at the request of the Sheriff's Department. Michael Cass and Eric Lansing had worked on this. Basically, the new legislation coming out of the General Assembly allows us to increase the fee that's attached to every case that's filed in the court, and money that can be used for security operations. And so basically we're allowed to double that fee now. I think it's going from 10 to 20 if the board approves. So what you have before you is just a request to add this ordinance to a public hearing, schedule this ordinance for a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You set to go then, Mr. Latchney?
All good.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have no old business, no department director or constitutional officer reports. County administrators report. Mr. Voorhees.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did want to just let the board know that we had a good discussion today with staff and some of your colleagues on broadband, and agreed that a future element of the CIP might involve kind of the broadband funding piece. So we don't have that in the CIP that you have, but that's a way we are looking to kind of develop a multi-year approach to those issues. And so just wanted to give you a little bit of heads up on that. We'll be, working with the broadband team on how to format that and what that looks like. We're also working on our reopening plans, such as they are. As everyone's aware, the governor's set this Friday as a target date for businesses that wish to begin to reopen. In some ways, it's certainly not mandatory, and some will choose not to make any changes. But we want to be prepared with plans that help us understand what that would look like. So we've got those drafts coming in due tomorrow, and we'll be vetting those and assisting departments with any adjustments they want to make to their physical space. For the most part, we won't be seeing much change, if any, to what we're doing during this phase 1 timeframe. But we know that when phase 2 comes around, there'll be some expectation that our buildings, at least some of them, may be physically open to the public. And so we want to be prepared, with what that looks like. So that's something that we are working on. We just want to let you be aware of that, and we'll kind of share that once we vet these drafts that come in tomorrow. And that's what I've got for you.
Very good. Thank you.
Just a question for you, Ted. When do you anticipate getting some type of a update to the board on that?
Mr. Johnson, we have set tomorrow as the deadline for department drafts to come in. A number of them have already come in. We'll be looking at those through the rest of the week. So I would imagine that by the end of Friday, we can give you some sort of update on what that looks like.
Okay.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much, Ted. All right. Next is board comment. Let's just, so we don't all talk at once, let's start with District 1 and move right on through. Mr. Johnson.
Oh, I don't have any comment at the moment.
All right. Very good. Mr. White.
No comment either.
Excellent. Mr. Goodwin.
I'll make 3.
All right. I'm good. And Mr. Frame.
No comment.
Most
That has
excellent.
to be a first.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Informational items are there for you. And then
You do have to worry when you've got 5 politicians saying no comment.
That's what you give that to a reporter.
Yes, yes. So, all right. Before we have comment, let's move on to informational items. They're there for your information. No action necessary. Next is appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. I believe we have at least one from Mr. Frame.
Yeah. I'm looking for her name here. She's
Pamela Frederick.
yeah. She's appoint her to the Skyline Cap board. We haven't had anybody on that board for as long as I've been on the board of supervisors, and so I managed to sweet talk her into taking that. But also, if she found out that it didn't suit her, that she could come back and try for the Community Services Board. So I'd like to appoint her to the Skyline Cap Board.
All right, any others?
What about the two on the youth commission? Are we going to take any action on that?
Yeah.
They have both been in contact with Alicia Vines, our Office on Youth Director. And if the board is willing, she's is eager to have them appointed to serve.
All right then.
Well, I would,
Appoint them then.
Yeah.
And just for the record, what are their two names?
Bear with me.
Ayanna Braxton and Felisa Payton.
Yes. Ayana Braxton and Felisa Payton. One of them will serve in an at-large because their district is already filled. And then one of them, Mr. Crozier, if you're agreeable, I believe is in District 4.
Yes, absolutely. All right. In that case, we've had the motions for those three positions and take a vote. Everyone in favor?
I,
Opposed? All right. The three of those are appointed unanimously. All right. I think the only calendar item, Mr. Latchney, is the one that you had just a little while ago. Is that correct?
That's the only one I'm aware of.
Okay. Allison, anything else?
No, sir. Planning Commission is set to have a public hearing on an SUP between this meeting and your next meeting in May. So at your second meeting in May, we'll have a calendar item for you all to consider scheduling your public hearing for that special use permit.
All right, very good. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, Mr. Chairman, also want to remind you, although it was on the consent agenda, the easement for Rappahannock Electric Co-op was also a calendar item. So you all will have two public hearings scheduled for your first meeting in June.
Okay, very good. Mr. White.
it occurred to me, I think we all received an email today from Allison about, I think it was a BZA meeting in Spotsylvania that's coming up. They send us those kind of things as courtesies occasionally. As we all recall, there was a very large project that is being constructed in Spotsylvania County that we also were noticed on about 2 years ago that we didn't take the opportunity to get involved with at that time. Seems to me that on our calendar discussion, or maybe at some place, at least in our agenda, when their surrounding counties notify us of these kinds of SUPs and zoning appeal changes, we probably need to make a provision that we spend at least a few minutes recognizing that those are existing and they could have an impact on us. As we know, the solar project in particular that I was referring to has had. So I don't have a mechanism in mind to do that, but maybe if County Administrator and Allison would think about that a little bit to see if there's some way to make sure that comes to our attention in a way that we focus on it, particularly if it's a substantial project that appears to have direct impact across the county line.
Absolutely. And as you said, this one very important. And I plan on attending that meeting virtually because it definitely has an impact on us. No question about it. So, all right. Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, just wanted to confirm that the board would like us to carry the CIP back to you at a future meeting. We didn't get a motion to adopt, and you may not be prepared to adopt. It was on the agenda for the first time here this evening. But if you're...
Yes, I would say probably at this point with the budget subcommittee, I know there's a number of talks, including some broadband talks. Probably not next meeting, but the meeting after that. Would that work?
Certainly works for us.
Okay, Mr. White, Mr. Johnson.
I think, yeah, that's fine. I don't think the plan is to have a broadband section of the CIP ready
Right.
that quickly, though. It was discussed today. I think it is a good idea. It's a good way to sort of describe those projects. But at this point, I'm not aware of any contemplated changes to what you have in front of you to be the CIP for FY21. Am I correct on that, Ted and Stephanie?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we could take action at any point, but I just want to make sure that we weren't expecting a different version, at least in the short term. I don't think that's the case.
Right.
Yeah, I think that what we're talking about with the broadband would be for, is not for the next year. It would be for probably years 2 and 3.
Okay, well, in that case, is there any objection to us going ahead and adopting that this evening then?
That's fine.
All right, is that a motion to adopt?
Yes.
All right, a second?
I'll second it.
All right, in that case, all in favor of adopting the CIP? I guess a roll call on this is going to be the easiest way to do it.
Sure. Mr. Crozier,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson,
He seems to
There
have
he is.
locked up. There he is. You back, Mr. Johnson?
Was it something I said? Yes, I'm back.
All right.
and your roll call vote on adoption of the CIP,
Aye.
Mr. Frame,
Aye.
Mr. White,
Aye.
and Mr. Goodwin.
Aye.
All right.
5-0.
Very good. All right. At this point, since we still have our public hearings at 7 p.m., not real sure why we're doing that with the virtual meetings, but
Just so you know, the legal ad that I sent out today for your next public hearing is, we've decided to do them at 6 o'clock for
Okay.
now.
all right, very good.
That's what we have set for the next meeting.
All right, in that case, we will recess until 7 p.m. See everybody back at 7.
All right.
We're gonna stay attached.